Hello and welcome, I'm Ryan, aka Sifu Messiah, and this is the Facts from Pax East presentation, which happened last week, I believe it was, and it's just basically a rundown of everything that happened in Pax East. I wasn't there, I'm using the video that they provided for us, and sort of pulling it apart, showing you the intricacies of what happened. So, to start with, it was about 40 minutes long, the video was anyway, I don't know how long Pax East lasted. Chris was on stage for pretty much the majority, if not the whole time. And he started off by just talking about the 1.1 multiplayer free flight, and the reason why we're getting it is because it was such a big demand from the community. Everybody demanded it from him, and he's delivered it. So he says basically you can EVA out of your ships once you've all landed, swap ships, get into each other's ships. It will be amazing. So if you don't own a ship but you know a friend who does, you can land and swap over. He might not want to borrow yours though, but don't tell him, just steal his. Anyway, after that, he did kind of chat a little bit about balancing the gun mounts and how, you know, the whole post in Star Citizen Sunday about the gun mounts design. He just covered that. Nothing new that we haven't heard from that post. Now, the way that we're going to spend our REC, or our rental equipment credits, is on their RSI website. Sort of store, a bit like Voyager Direct, but it's going to be called Electronic Access, and it was pretty cool because it was a play on EA. They said it was bought out by Original Systems, and there was a little quote underneath saying how the mighty have fallen, and there was a big grin on Chris's face for the whole of that part there. It was a nice little dig, very subtle. Well, actually it wasn't subtle at all. But anyway, he says that the rental equipment credits will be used for Arena Commander, as we know, where we can rent ships, rent weapons, and it'll also be used for the FPS module. So once you earn enough credits with kills and so forth, you can then buy handheld weapons, grenades, etc. Maybe different grade armor eventually in the future, but it'll all play into one big thing. I don't know if you earn your Arena Commander credits, they will switch over to the FPS. I don't see why not, but we shall have to wait and see for that. After that, he moved on to the damage tech, and I'll show the video of, you know, what we've seen. It was basically just showing off this video with the Gladius. Very cool. Again, he went into a lot of detail about the whole memory usage and how it's going to make our gaming experience better performance-wise. Plus, it'll cut down on the time the artists will have to spend creating all these different damage states. So, a plus all round. Now, there was some footage which we saw on Star Citizen Sunday of the FPS demo, or the Zero-G demo. Now, he did say that before he showed all this, he said that there will be an update for the animation, because it's not what it is now. He said they slowed the development because they were updating the skeletal system, which it happened a while back. They decided, you know, they got a bit more funding maybe, and they thought, right, we'll make it look even better. So this is the reason why it's been sort of pushed back a bit further, because they wanted to get the animation up and running properly. He did say that the FPS will drop within 2 to 3 weeks, and it is said that early April for the social module, if anyone was wondering. And as you can see, it says the entire animation set has been revamped for FPS. What we do see in FPS will not be the final product for the animation. It's pretty much the closest we've seen so far, but it will still be tweaked. He says there's a lot of little animations between running and coming to a stop, and then obviously sort of going from 0 speed to sort of running. You know, there's a little transition of animation which he says they will capture. It'll be really realistic. He says rifle and pistol draws are more realistic with quick draw capabilities on the rifle from a 1-point harness. It's just one of those sort of things that you carry around around your shoulder, which allows you to access your rifle really, really quickly. So that will be an added extra, an add-on that you can maybe purchase if you bought a gun as a standard thing in the Persistent universe. You can add all these things to it. A 1-point harness would be very useful for quick draws, but it isn't going to be like Twitch play like you get in Call of Duty and games like that. It is the weapon will be bouncing, and wherever the barrel is facing is where the weapon will shoot. There's no crosshair just stuck in the middle of your screen. He says there's authentic reload animations from their military advisors, which they had in excellent news, because obviously if the military advisors don't know what they're doing, then nobody does, so it's good to have authenticity there. Anyway, over to the next screen, and it's again more looking ahead as to what's going to happen with the animation. As we've said, there's the starts, the stops, the directional jukes. They're all to come in, and it says there, increased fidelity. It'll look so realistic. They say the cover system will be worked on, as it says there, to make sure that you get the best shot off while keeping your head down, and he did say that you'll be able to dive into cover, so I suppose it's quite close to Far Cry, where you can be be running around and dive, you know, you press duck, you'll slide into cover. He said that'll be in there. He says they've still got to put in the hit and death reactions, which will go from a simple hit and ragdolls to satisfying impacts and painful demises. So he actually says where you hit on your opponent will actually have a sort of a reaction to it. You know, he'll jerk back on his shoulder if you shot him in the shoulder, and his leg he might jerk down. So the crouch movements will be revamped to make sure that you stay stealthy but lethal. No idea what he means here. All I can think of is perhaps Splinter Cell style, and Marines will employ an off-aim, lowered position when moving through territory and not firing. So again, where the barrel points is where the bullet will literally shoot with bullet drop. So, you know, but obviously if you're just sort of jogging along, your barrel isn't going to be the centre of the screen all the time. So once he'd showed us those screens, he showed us a little video. I'll put it up for you all to see, and it's the differences between PAX Australia from last year and obviously this year's PAX East, where they've now implemented the muscle system. You can see from the actual clips how blocky the character last year looked compared to how smooth and realistic this character looks. It does move similar to Armour 3, but I would even say it looks better than Armour 3. But I'll let you see that while in the background while we talk about the rest. And he did say that there will be a crouch and a prone, and the aim will be, there'll be three sorts of aim. There'll be off position, where, you know, when you're moving around it won't be aiming correctly. There'll be an alert where I suppose you're ready for action, and there'll be iron sights. Now this again is very close to Armour's combat mode. I don't know if you've ever played it, where you have your normal sort of running where your weapon isn't up, it's sort of jogging in front of you. Then you can press the C button and it'll bring it up to combat mode, or whatever it was called, where it would always keep it pointing forwards, but it wouldn't be 100% accurate because it's not an iron sight. And then obviously you click the other button and it'll bring it to iron sight. So he did mention that they want to make the world feel real. He said it's not going to be a respawn type game like in COD. I don't know if it means you have one life in the FPS module, and then once that's gone you have to wait until the round is over. I hope so, to be honest, because it makes sense, and you would cherish your life a little bit more than you do in Call of Duty and Battlefield. You know, if you go off into a team with a team of 4, you're going to work more as a team and stick together rather than going off in a big flurry and trying to shoot crap out of everyone, because you'll die and then you'll have to wait however long it takes before the next game comes. So the game mode, which is the FPS module, not the 0G mode, it's just the normal FPS on the space station, is called Star Marine. And again, there's a couple more screens, and Chris explains that, as you probably know already, you enter this through your sim pod, which is the new sim pod that's coming into your hangars in 1.1. It's to try and get away from the hangar being Arena Commander, or when you sit in your ship being Arena Commander, because the hangar is the hangar, it's not the game itself, whereas Arena Commander is the game. So that probably made no sense to anyone. But yeah, the sim pod is in your hangar for 1.1. You go up to it, you click on it, and it'll sit you in this little booth like an arcade machine from the good old days, and it would take you to choose whether you want to play Arena Commander or Star Marine, or I think it's Astro Arena being the 0G. After this, he brought up a really cool slide of the different armour types we will find. And he says there's 3 UEE armour types and 3 pirates. You've got light, medium and heavy. And so if we look at the UEE light armour, this is the PAB, or Personal Ablative Ballistic Armour number 4. It is by the Clark Defence Systems, that's the manufacturer, and it allows 1 medium weapon and 1 small weapon to be carried at the same time. And it's a little blurb. It's, when speed and mobility are essential, CDS's light personal armour is a perfect choice. The PAB4, I'm going to call it the PAB, utilises a cutting-edge micro-weave blend capable of withstanding multiple hits and remain battle-ready, while still providing maximum manoeuvrability, popular and widely used amongst the military, police and discerning civilians. Very cool. Now for the light armour for the Outlaw, please excuse the press escape to exit full screen mode. I was a bit hasty with my print screen button there. This is the Hyperion Special, or Hyperion, by, I don't know what it means by scavenger. I suppose the scavengers who have found it claim it. The Cosso wrote, it allows, again, 1 medium, 1 small, and it's generally light armour, implies that it's the most agile and non-constricting while offering a minimal amount of ballistic energy protection. In pirate terms, it can also mean that the pieces have been pulled off of corpses, but since they're dead, the armour isn't really that good now, is it? So, chest plates will have bullet holes that have killed their previous owner. Shoulder pads will have cracked shells, seriously diminishing their protective value. Now, the way it sounds like they're probably just trying to keep it in fiction, but it sounds like the Outlaw armour is very lesser to the UEE armor, which, I mean, it makes sense because it's not manufactured properly, but still, it doesn't sound very appealing. I think I know which side I want to choose. So moving over to the medium armor, this is the UEE version. It's the Omni-Roll Combat Armor, or the Orc Mark 9. Now, I think this is something, I think if you were pledged for a certain stretch goal, you got this for free. So I think if you have pledged that earlier on, you'll have this already. Again, made by Clark Defense Systems, you can now carry 2 medium weapons with it and 1 small. So medium being, I suppose, a shotgun, maybe a personal defense weapon, and then obviously a handgun of some kind. And the description says, the standard marine armor for almost 20 years. It is created of composite mesh of fibers, reinforced with ablative plates, offering a modest protection against both energy and kinetic weapons, offering a baseline solution for any number of situations the average marine will encounter on any given day. So for the Outlaw, the medium armor is called the Privateer, and its maker is Three-Fingered Jack. Anyway, again, 2 medium, 1 small, and a mix of middle ground of improvised armor suits and actual undamaged pieces of armor. Even though some of the pieces have been shot up, there are enough layers to offer a medium amount of protection for the user. Again, doesn't sound as robust, but I'm sure they will be pretty much equal in strength and defense to the UEE. So moving over to the heavy armor, again, you can imagine the maneuverability will be lesser than the light armor, but you get more defense. This is called the Achilles, and it's made by Virgil Limited. Now you can carry 1 large weapon. Not sure if that's a full-scale assault rifle or if it's something larger like an RPG type maybe, or a sniper rifle. 2 medium and 1 small. So again, you get lots more firepower, but you are slower, you are more cumbersome. And it says, claim and hold the battlefield with the Achilles personal armor, designed to ensure when others fail. This heavy armor offers maximum protection when battling large caliber and rapid fire weaponry. Equipped with enough attachment points to turn the tide in any battle, it sacrifices speed for endurance. Achilles has become the strategic asset for military, police, and many no-nonsense mercs. So yeah, again, something to point out is that Chris Roberts has said before that your armor, whatever you are carrying, is on you. You know, it's you can see what someone is carrying. So if you're up against someone and you can see they've got a few grenades, you will know that they've got grenades in their arsenal to battle with. Very cool. So let's move on to the Outlaw heavy armor. And Chris did point out that this looks at the moment like a heavy Hellcast, which is pretty funny actually. But yeah, it's called the Colossus, and it's made by the Dredge. It is, again, this time 1 large weapon, 2 medium, 1 small. This is a legitimate armor manufactured in small numbers in the darkest regions of the pirate-infested space. These suits are composed of intact ballistic vests to refashioning ship plating into pieces of armor, which is pretty cool. It's opting for protection over mobility, and if you ask me, it looks friggin' scary as hell. It looks like some weird bird face, but I wouldn't like to turn around the corner and see his red eyes glowing coming towards me. I would be very worried. But yeah, that's the armor. Tell me your thoughts on the armor. I think they look very cool. He did mention that it's not set as it's going to be now. We'll get on to what he says for the future of armor. Let's move on. So after he showed us all the armor, he went through some of the weapons we'll be seeing. I believe it's probably all the weapons currently that will be available to us. He started off with this one. It's the Gemini LH85. It is a combustion pistol, and obviously the designer is Gemini. The ammo is ballistic, so it's real bullets. It requires 1 hand to use. It has a mag size of 13, a reload time of 2 seconds, I believe. It can't be 2 hours. An effective range of about 30 meters. And this class is small, so when it goes back to the armor saying 1 large, 1 medium, 1 small, this would be a small. Now, the other pistol that was mentioned was the KW model, or the Claus and Werner, sorry, Model 2 Arclight. This is an energy weapon, so it's a laser pistol. We've had a go with it in Arena Commander when you land. I think it's the one you can whip out and start shooting. I think we've even tried out the ballistic one. Again, 1 hand is needed. A mag size of 90, which is pretty good, but probably not as strong as the ballistic handgun. There is no reload time as it just recharges. Effective range, again, 30, and it is a small size. So after that, he showed us the medium-sized weapons, and the first one being the Bearing P4SC, which we have seen before. This is one we see often. It looks very similar to a G36. It's a submachine gun made by Bearing, another ballistic weapon. It requires 2 hands, obviously 1 at the front to steady it, 1 as on the trigger. Mag size of 30, very standard with submachine guns. Reload time of 3 seconds, a second slower than the handgun, an effective range of 50 meters, so it's got another 20 meters on top of the handgun, and again medium size, so light armor, you would have one of these, one of your handguns. Then we looked at the Ack Devastator 12. Now this is Ack Arms. It's an electric shotgun. We've seen it in action. It's quite a weird looking gun. 2 hands again required. Mag size of 132, so you'd obviously have to swap out the electricity capsules, it looks like, looking at the magazine. No reload time, and, oh, maybe it is just, it's an energy weapon, isn't it? So it regenerates. 40 meters for the shotgun, which is a pretty decent range for a shotgun. I don't know if that's standard, but again, medium-sized weapon. And then the last weapon we got to look at was the KW Clausenwerner ATT-4, and this is the laser assault rifle. So this is, I suppose, the equivalent to the bearing weapon we just saw, although that was more of a submachine gun. Energy ammo, 2 hands, 300 mag size, again no reload time, an effective range of 100 meters, so it's got a pretty decent range on that. And this is a medium weapon. We didn't see any other weapons, we didn't see any large weapons or anything of that sort, which is a shame, but I know there's a sniper rifle on its way. So this is only a few of what we can probably get our hands on, and again, you might open them using your rental equipment credits. So after he showed us all the weapons, he showed us the actual games we'll be playing, and the first one is the Gold Horizon platform. This is the name of it. It is on the space station that we saw. It's the first FPS demo we saw. Same location. He said it's traditional combat, and it says prepare for planetary and station combat in Star Citizen. I don't think it means planetary for the FPS demo. I think it means, you know, we're going to have planetary combat and we're going to have space station combat. It's 8v8 combat in a vicious fight to the death. So again, I would think if it's to the death, it doesn't mean there's going to be respawns. You have 2 teams of 8, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's UEE Marines versus the Outlaws for control of the space platform. So it could just be fight to the death. I don't think there's any places to hold or take for long periods of time. It could be implemented later. We don't know yet. And again, you battle to earn new weapons, armor, and more. So this is to do with the REC. Damageable environments and lighting, which is pretty cool. I don't know how damageable the environments are. I don't think walls can be blown out and so forth, but boxes can probably be destroyed. Lighting is very important because obviously if you can shoot out all the lights, then your enemy will not see. Hopefully you can have night vision because otherwise you won't be able to see and it'll be a bit pointless. But you can disable the space station's gravity to change the playing field, which is what we saw in the FPS demo. If you find that station or the gravity generator, you can go in there, you can shut it down, and then you're all flying around trying to kill each other instead. So as you probably know, the second game mode is called Astro Arena, and it is a 0G sports arena. And it says prepare for boarding actions and space battles in Star Citizen while playing one of the UEE's favourite sports. It's 16v16 in this one, so it's bigger teams, and it's combat in team-based competitive sport. Now it's a non-lethal combat training in 0G, almost identical to Ender's Game. It wasn't lethal in Ender's Game, it was just shocks. And it says your tool is the laser weapon, a grappler which is attached underneath the laser weapon, and your wits. Very, very cool. And you take out the enemy team or capture their base to win. So it does say master 0G navigation and combat in preparation for life on the drift. And something Chris mentioned is it's like you form teams to compete just like you will do in racing when that becomes a proper thing. And he says there'll be leagues, there'll be championships. So again, the Astro Arena will most likely become another e-sport where you can compete for actual fame within the Star Citizen world. Watch it on TVs in bars. Maybe RSI will live stream it as proper finals come on for everyone to watch, even if you don't own the game. Very, very cool. There's so much scope to this game, it's ridiculous. So after that, he showed us the video of the 0G demonstration. Now, I have shown this in Star Citizen Sunday. I'll put it up in the background while we look at other bits. He did say that eventually the colour of the visor will be different depending on your team, so it will have a different filter through your eyes. He says they're currently fine-tuning on the 0G animations and motions of the push, the pull. They're really fine-tuning it because it does look a bit odd at the moment in what you're seeing, but this isn't final. Now, going on to the Retaliator, this was something that was mentioned quite earlier on and I forgot to pick up on it. He actually showed us the facts and the stats of the Retaliator. So this is something I don't think we've actually seen yet, not fully. As we know, the manufacturer is Aegis Dynamics, who have actually got pretty decent range of ships at the moment. Its focus currently is the heavy bomber, but with the modularity system, ignore that. It can be whatever you please. Its length is 71 meters, about 10 meters longer than the Connie. Its width is 53, height of 12. The cockpit is pressurized. It has VTOL, which is pretty cool. Maximum power plant is a size 6. It's got 2 TR6 main thrusters, 6 TR2 VTOL thrusters, which allow it to raise before it takes off in forward motion. The retro thruster, there's 2 TR5s for that, and then there's 12 maneuvering thrusters. 8 of them are TR1 dorsal and ventral thrusters, and the other 4 are the TR1 lateral thrusters. So it has a jump drive. Its shield is size 3, and it has 6 facing, so there's 6 fields, or the 6 areas for the shield to go. There's 2 size 2 cooling units. It's got 5 hard points of twin turret, which are manned turrets, size 6 turrets. Each turret has 2 Claws and Werner CF-007 Bulldog repeaters, which are size 1s. The upper body front bomb bay, it has capacity of 4 large munition bays, and the current equipment is the cluster missile. So I've had a few questions recently in regards to the social module and when we're expecting it, and we know it's between 2.0 and obviously 1.1 whenever that arrives, but Chris has confirmed that it is the 1.1.2, so it's very close. He said the social module is coming early April. So, I mean, we are in March now, so, I mean, we're halfway through March. Not long at all, really. The next few months, we got the first-person shooter module, the social module, as we know. Middle of 2015, he says summertime, Arena Commander 2.0 will come out, which is the multi-crew ship module, where everyone can work together on a ship. And at the end of 2015, the first episode of Squadron 42 will be released, and the pre-alpha of the Persistent Universe will be released as well. Squadron 42 will be 20 hours long. It'll have 70 missions. He said it'll be a big story, and it'll be a trilogy. So this is the first iteration. This will be anyway, so I mean we can look at 210 missions perhaps, give or take, and about 60 hours of gameplay. As he said, it's going to be a AAA game on its own, you know, it's going to be a full game, which could be released as a separate disc just for people who didn't want to play the PU. Now he says that when the first PU drop comes out, the beta or the alpha of the Persistent Universe, he says not all the systems are going to be there. There's only a select amount of systems that we can travel to. He says you can get out from your hangar, get into your ship, fly out your hangar and go from place to place. He says you can trade. Not all the jobs will be there either, but I expect there'll be a small amount of combat to do because that will be sorted. But yeah, very, very cool. This is pretty much all that happened in this video. Tell me your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts on everything. I'm very excited for it, and I really can't wait to hear about South by Southwest, which again I'll do another cover video for that. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe, comment if you've got anything to say. Big thanks to all our patrons. You are really helping us make these videos. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at SuperMacBrother. Follow me on Twitch at SuperMacBrothersRyan, and Adam is SuperMacBrothersAdam. I will be live streaming very, very soon, so keep checking in. Thumbs up the video if you liked it, and I shall see you in the verse.